What's up, guys? Compound Coalition, and I have Tag here. I had the drone up. We had some storm last night. Part of the tent got blown down. I was droning, and I was thinking, literally in my head, where is Tag? I'm sure that he is busy this morning, and Tag walked up right behind me. It meant to be right now.
Right.
And here we are. I don't know what we're talking about, but I've wanted to sit down with this man and just have a conversation.
Right.
Not about the normal stuff, just about literally anything. Like, I feel when I watch you that I want to be more like you, and I like the community building that you do around you, right? You stand people up, and I look up to you.
Wow, thank you. That's
So
saying a lot.
Having been here a few times, what should I do? And I'm not asking like, oh, you need this or that. Like, what should I do? I don't even know what I feel like there's something missing, and I don't know what it is.
Do you think more like from a community perspective?
Just everything.
Yeah, I think this is such an interesting topic, John. For me, I went after this chase of freedom, and that built everything. It built the community. It built my off-grid lifestyle. It built everything. And, so for me, what I had to do is identify, how is it that I'm enslaved today? And then I let it just take over. And it's funny, it's gone from a little notepad to this huge ungovernable score process that communities are now using all over the United States. And I'm kind of humbled by it, to be honest, but I think with community, everything's possible. Everything is possible.
Right.
And so I think that's where I would start is, identify, what's the end goal? I mean, where are you trying to be? Like, to me, I wanted to be out of the system. I don't want to depend on healthcare. I don't want to depend on electricity. I don't want to depend on nothing. To hell with them, right? Because they made me mad.
Are you there?
No.
How close are you?
So I'm producing 100% of my energy, 100% of my water. I'm 100% debt-free. I own my land. I own my cars. I own everything. I'm producing about 70% of my food. So here comes the challenge, the 30. And I'll tell you something that's really interesting about this is going from 0 to 20 is easy. PUD. Anybody can do it. Every increment you take there gets more expensive. Every increment you take gets harder. So like in my personal ungovernable score, I'm almost to an 80 now.
Wow.
We're huge, right? But to get to 81 is a monumental task. And so we talk about community. How do I get there? I get there with community. I cannot produce enough food for myself. There's things I just can't do. I can't do it all. And so community can come in and eat up some of that 30, right? When the environmental socialist governance score comes for us, and it is coming, I'm telling you, it is here.
Yep.
The Great Reset, as it comes, and it is here, the way we get through this is community, through parallel societies, through counter economies. This is how we get there.
Tell the people what you mean by that, because I think there's a lot of people that listen that don't even know that it's even a possibility, right? They've scratched this surface of I want to be a prepper, so we're going to put some food in buckets, and I've got a couple guns, right? And I put some bumpers on my truck. But what does that really mean?
Yeah, what does it mean? You're talking about in reference to being free, how getting there?
Yeah, what is that? I don't think people have any clue what free means.
Yeah, so, it's so crazy. I'm going to talk about this today a little bit. And I think people think that, okay, I'm going to go move off grid. I'm going to live off grid, right? And I have eliminated my master. But you really haven't. You've traded one for another. I've traded the master of the electric company. I've traded the master of working for the man. I've traded that master, but now I'm a slave to my systems, and I'm a slave, right? You're really just trading one master for the other. But I think what it really is I get to choose my master, right? Instead of the master being the electric company or whatever it is, I get to pick mine. Being free to me means that you get to support all of your needs yourself, right? You have control of them. Maybe that's a better way to say that you have control over them. But at the end of the day, without community, you'll never get there. It's impossible. And I'll tell you why. You tell me you own a salt mine? I don't.
Oh, yeah, good point. Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah, correct.
I mean, there's so many of those little things. I can, my wife will this year by herself manage a 2-acre garden. We'll produce all of our spaghetti sauce, all of our salsa, so many things, right? We have animals. We'll produce all of our meats, right? But at the end of the day, I can only grow so much grain, right? I mean, how much land can you put, and then how much energy capital do you have? You're just never going to get there unless you have community. You're just not going to get there.
It has to be a village almost.
It has to be a village.
And now we warehouse our older folks, right? So there's nobody to raise the kids and tell his story, right? History. Right. So it's by design, right?
Yeah.
We we've told women that they're not of use unless they go to work and they're not helping their friends. So we split the family up. We give young women welfare, and the first thing we say is that the husband can't be around, so we break the family, right? And it's just it. There's not multi-generations in there to help with those things any longer. And now it's evil if you have your kid doing chores, and now we send our kids almost forcefully to public school, right? Because it's free babysitting on the other hand.
Correct.
And we wonder why we send our kids to people who hate us, and then our kids become to hate us as we grow, right? So there's a huge, I think the COVID stuff really woke people up. I mean, look at how many kids did not show up to school this school year, last school year. So I don't know. I mean, you hear about the back to the land thing of the 70s, 80s. I don't know when it was, but I feel like that is happening. And it is much more exponential now because of our rapid communications, right? I used to have to stop and text my girlfriend, who became my wife, who is in the building, to communicate. And we'd have to stop and wait for each other to call back. And now, I mean, I talk to people around the world. Literally, I vocalize a text and tap the guys that I want to get this around the world all at once. So things happen quicker. That cat's out of the bag for the bad guys. But they're going to, I feel like they're much more willing to bring violence now.
Yes.
Because they have to make an example to shut the other people, to put fear into the others.
Well, and fear is such a critical thing, because without it, their plan will never work.
I feel like it's constant, the fear, right? And almost if you turn this off, you wouldn't even know, right? Most of it. And I feel like it's by design, because it's that fight or flight. So it keeps you in a constant state of irritation and exhaustion, so that when you do rest, you don't fully rest, and you wake up, you think about this to see what the next thing is, and you're never able to create and actually get any traction on your own.
Yeah, I think the one thing I would add to that is it also keeps us divided.
Yes, absolutely.
Right, and that divide, as long as we're fighting each other, we're never going to fight them.
Yep. Look at the gun culture, gun community, man. We put up a video. I had a friend's name, and my buddy said, "Hey, a lot of guys go take a class, and they think they're going to be able to shoot like our friend Chris Costa, and this asshole over here beeped it out and made a short form out of it. And we have 6.5 million views,
oh my
6,500 comments of people mad at us for saying their favorite person's name who we didn't say. But it's just the infighting, man. It is so easy to divide.
Well, there's always got to be a bad guy, and there's always got to be a boogeyman. It's interesting. I read an article just a few days ago that said, and I quote, "We have to protect the digital dollar from the banks." Okay, was the headline. This is such an important quote, because what they're telling us is they're giving us the playbook. Do you remember when Richard Nixon said, "I'm removing the dollar from the gold standard to protect us from the speculators"?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
This is how they removed the dollar from the gold standard, right? Well, they just said they're going to protect the digital dollar from the banks. So they're telling us, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to collapse the banks. We're going to take all the assets over, insert digital dollar. We'll be the heroes. Yay.
It's on their website right now that it's happening in July.
Right now.
Yeah.
It's coming for us. And so as long as we're willing to sit back and allow them to divide us by color, allow us to divide us by creed, allow them to divide us by economic status.
Yeah, white collar or blue collar, yeah.
As long as we're allowing it, they're going to win, guys. They're 100% going to win.
So how do we infect people? How do you spread that word?
Yeah. Well, first of all, John, you're doing it. You're doing it right here today with the Self-Reliance Festival. We're doing it at the Next Step convention that was just in Georgia about parallel societies, and we're doing them all over the place. But here's the thing, guys. You're never going to get there sitting on your couch watching your phone. You got to put action behind everything that you do. You got to get up and do something.
What would you have them do immediately? What's actionable for every man?
Yeah. So again, everything's possible with community. So the first thing that I would do is I would yoke up. I would start attending things, whether it's farmers markets, whatever you can get to, the Self-Reliance Festival. Go to these places, yoke up. But when I was here last, I don't know if I ever told you this. When I was here last in October, I met three different sets of people who, one was a doctor from New Mexico, one was a Navy person from Indiana, and another one was a farmer from Missouri. The people from New Mexico have purchased land 10 miles from me and are in the middle of building a homestead. The people from Indiana have purchased land 2 miles from me and are in the middle of building a homestead. And the farmer from Missouri and I have become great friends. I've spoken to their community. They've come spoke at my community. They've helped on our community work days. And so you got to go build that, but you're not going to build that sitting, waiting for your phone to beep because someone wants to be your buddy.
Right.
You got to get your ass busy, man. You just got to, or they're going to win.
I had this sitting on the hood of a Razor, and I was being an asshole out here tearing around the building, tearing the gravel up, and it fell off on one of those laps. And it took me a while to realize where it went, and I had driven over it. And it took, I went to Verizon in panic, had to get a phone, right? And they laughed at me. They're like, oh, you gotta order that. I was without the phone for 10 days. And the first couple of days I was figuring out how to take the hotspot outside and use the iPad so I could listen to the stuff while I'm doing the animals. And by day 4 or 5, I'm like, man, I'm getting a lot of stuff done. Yes. And when I got that phone, I turned it on, left it inside for a day or two, but then it had its hooks back in. That's my drug right there.
Yeah. Yeah, well, and it is addictive, right? I mean, they talk about the zombie apocalypse, but it's here.
Yeah, they created it.
They created it with the cell phone.
Yeah, I mean, look at people's attention span with short form content now.
Yeah, it's insane to me that people would rather watch a 15-second video. Like, I'd rather watch a 2-hour video.
I'm with you. Yes, I'm with you. Yes.
Learn something, turn it on, go to work.
Yeah.
And do my thing.
I went to message you something the other day, and I couldn't find you on Instagram or Facebook.
Yeah.
Are you there?
So, so my YouTube channel, Life Done Free, is on Facebook, but I'm not on Instagram.
I couldn't find it.
Yep. And, I like doing the YouTube thing, and I like doing all of those things, but I'm just such a busy guy. I mean, I'm really trying to get 100% free.
So where did your money come from?
Yeah. So, I'm a recovering financial executive. Okay.
Okay.
So I managed a company with 34 locations, 34 different states, had $150 million in assets, and I was in charge of all the revenue. And so I've always been good with my money.
So is that like CFO?
Yeah, well, more chief marketing officer, because I handled revenue. So I handled all the money coming in.
Okay.
And that's not what they called me, but basically the same thing. And so that's, shareholder relations, sales, marketing, that's all of those types of things. And life was good. I mean, we traveled all over. My wife owns so many, Coach purses that she never, she never even uses them anymore. But anyway, I got myself into the COVID debate with the company. They wanted to do some mandating, and I stood up to them and actually got escorted off stage, and it was a big debacle. And after that, I decided, you know what? Never again is another man going to have that kind of stroke over me.
Were you concerned, kind of in limbo when that happened, or were you at peace when that happened?
At first, the shock of it. I mean, when you go from, making, $300,000, $400,000 a year, right? Plus, all these cool things, to being unemployed the first time ever in your life, right? In your adult life. So that was certainly scary. But I had some resources, which was nice. So I took all my money out of the markets. I sold everything that I had and said, you know what? Instead of making Wall Street money, which is what I had been doing for years and years, they give me the little crumbles that fall off the end, but I'm making them the money. I just took it out and invested in me and built myself.
How long did it take you to convert that into cash? Did that go into a bank account, I assume?
Yeah.
So from the time you started that, when did you actually have the cash? How fast did that happen?
Well, I did it incrementally.
Okay.
So it was about a year before I had it all out.
Okay.
Today I have $59 in the market. And that's because there's this one stock I've been holding on to that they created an inhalant insulin that if it ever passes FDA trials, right? Okay. It's the one I won't get rid of because just if it goes, it'll be cool. But so I took it out, but then I went and bought several companies. I bought part of EMP Shield. It's a good other example. But I just took it out and said, no more. I'm not playing the game no more. I'm done.
I brag about that. I'm like, I know guys that own EMP Shield.
Yeah.
I didn't know that was public facing, so I've never put the name to it.
I don't have an active everyday role. I sit on the board of directors, but I have 7 companies.
What made you choose that company?
So I met with the guy that invented it. And he said to me, hey, I can't, I really want to build this. This is a great little device. I can't get it off the ground. I need to raise some capital. I actually ignored him. Said, you can't protect against an EMP.
I like telling guys, they're like, I'm going to start a company. I'm like, you're not going to start a company. I do it as a double dog dare you.
Yeah, right. But then he called me a couple months later and said, hey, I got a meeting with Stratcom. You want to come with me?
Oh, shit.
So I went down, took the trip, went down there with him, and I was listening to them talk, and one of the head Stratcom guys looked at him and said, why has no one ever thought of it like this before? And I thought, okay, there's a gig here. And so I went on, contacted some investors, raised the first, $3 million they needed to get up off the ground, negotiated for their factories, their buildings, all of that kind of stuff. And now I have a very inactive role, but
I like the people over there, man.
Yeah.
Like I could have talked to those dudes and not had any clue EMP Shield. I could have talked to them for 15, 20 minutes and then they could have hit me with EMP Shield and I wouldn't have cared if it even worked. I'd have bought it from them.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good company, and there's a lot of really great people, Andrew and Bobby and Patrick, and a lot of them.
Yeah.
That are down there, but there's some down there that you don't know that we have our head chief technology officer is a guy with 2 PhDs, one in electrical engineering, one in physics. from Bulgaria. He's like talking to a
That's
KGB
cool.
guy,
Yeah.
but he's badass, just awesome.
That's cool. So what's next for you?
Yeah, so I'm going to take this freedom fight as national as I can take it. And, it seems like every year that goes by, more and more people call me and say, hey, come tell this story. And I just got back from Georgia. I'm going, I think, to Michigan next. So I'm just going to keep telling it because I can and because they made me mad, and I'm not subservient, and I'm not going to be on my knees, and they have no choice.
Yeah, contagious.
That's what I'm going to do, and bring it on.
Do you think, like, if you build it, they will come? Like, if you, I tell people, like, if you do what's truly in your heart, right, what you really believe in, and the right people will show up for that mission.
But they're doing it today. It's crazy. Our community has got about 900 total people in it, but they're not all active, so that's kind of a very misleading thing. But we've got 70 or 80 people who now we control over 1,000 acres of land right in my little area. And it seems like, just last week, I had 4 families down looking at land last week. And I housed one on Monday and then on Tuesday, and I got nothing done all week long, right? 'Cause I was doing that. Yeah. But what's going to happen there is I'm going to get enough critical mass. I've already got one like-minded person on the school board. I've got one on the county commissioners. I have a constitutional sheriff. I have a medical system that no longer accepts medical insurance.
Oh, wow.
Okay?
Yeah.
And so, but as this project continues on and continues on and continues on, I'm going to have all the communities, the county commissioner seats. Then I can really impact. Then we can start talking about, hey, on retirement age, property tax is no longer a thing, so that old people don't have to choose.
Right.
And leave their house that they paid off 30 years ago because some greedy frickin' politician and bureaucrats got their hands in it. I'm going to make some real impact. It just takes mass. So that's what's next for me.
That's it gives me chills.
It's badass.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So I don't know, man.
Yeah.
I don't even know where to go. Like, I asked you last time what we should do for the festival, right? And you gave us this badass action report. I would like to see how we get you more involved here.
Yeah, I'm in.
Awesome.
It's my biggest thing is, as long as what this is about, as long as what the primary focus is community, freedom, breaking the chains of slavery. Guys, we're living in the most egregious form of slavery ever perpetrated on mankind. Now, people argue, no, you're not, because they're not whipping us. No, they're not. But what I'm talking about is the scale. Everybody's involved. They have all of us by the balls through easy credit and credit cards, and we're dependent on them for this and we're dependent on that. We don't know how to grow our own food. We don't know how to do anything for ourselves. So as long as the focus is that, John, I will be on your tail. You tell me what, when, how, sir, and I will be there.
Thank you.
So it's awesome.
So if some kids came to you, let's say 18, 20-year-old kids, right, and they're not sure what to do, what would you tell them?
Yeah. First, I think I would want to qualify where they are, because I think that matters. But let's take the average 18-year-old.
In life, right?
Yeah.
I don't know what I want to do. I just kind of coasted through high school. I don't really have any direction.
Yeah. Me and the camera guy over there was having this conversation just a little bit earlier. The idea of going to college, getting a whole bunch of debt, to then going to a workforce to work 40 years for a company, to which at the end they will give you a gold watch and tell you to piss off, to which then you'll go on Social Security, to which 4 years later you'll go into a nursing home, to which Medicare spend down will then take all of your assets back, and you'll leave this world as broke as you entered it. There's got to be something more to life than that. I would tell them to find what makes your heart beat and drive as hard as you can drive. Don't listen to the critic. Don't listen to people talking shit. It doesn't matter, because what's the worst that's going to happen? You'll be right where you are.
Yeah, find something that you love doing. Figure out how to monetize that, and it can change, right?
Yes, of course.
It can alter. The past can,
Yeah, I used to think I wanted to be a rock star when I was a young guy.
Are you a good rock star?
No.
Can you sing?
No.
We could poster boy you. No. I mean, I don't think you even have to be able to sing anymore.
No, I sucked at it from day one, but I was just convinced that's what I wanted to do.
Okay, well, we can be friends with rock stars. All right, man, we're going to get you off of here. Yep. I know you got to be the first one on the stage out here, man. Thank you for sitting down.
Oh, of course, anytime.
Tag, I appreciate you.
Yeah. All right, man. I love that, man.
All right, man.
It's an honor to hear you say that.
Thank you.
All right, man. Hold the line, guys.
Yeah, man,